So when people feel like they have no control, mostly over their pocketbook, which is happening a lot now, but also a sense of the future, my values, what matters, they go a little bit crazy. It creates incredible space for demagogues to use that kind of confusion, to use that sense of powerlessness to whip people up into a frenzy to get control of them. On the individual level, you'll find people play, and I talked about this in the book, negative power games. They'll become passive aggressive. That happens a lot in relationships, where one person doesn't feel like they have the power, but they don't feel strong enough to directly attack or deal with the person. They become indirect, they become passive aggressive. When you feel like you have no power, won't be aggressive, you'll be passive aggressive, right? On a collective level, we can see countries around the world that have felt disrespected and screwed and feel like they've been humiliated on the world stage. And it creates a kind of a similar dynamic to the passive aggressiveness. Well, we're gonna get back at you some way. You can't control us completely. When you're weak, this is the whole origin of guerrilla warfare and terrorism, right? And guerrilla warfare is one of the most powerful strategies ever invented in military history. It's one side that has no power, but they use their lack of power to torment and torture the other side. And they don't, as the phrase goes, the weaker side doesn't have to win, they just have to survive. And so, they'll play games like that. But if you don't have power, you're going to find it somehow, some way, in some manner. You're going to do whatever you can to change that dynamic. But in the end, I don't know how successful that is, because it's kind of like you're riding a tiger. You're creating so much anger and resentment. Can you control it? Where is it? Are you in control of it, or is it leading you around? Appealing to people's basest emotions is a very, very powerful political weapon, right? But it can hurt you, and it can bite back and hurt you in the end, because you can't really control it. But I see what you're saying, and it is, and the sense of a country feeling that kind of grievance is an incredibly powerful, motivating factor. And I see that around the world right now, we're living through a very chaotic moment in history. I read a lot of history. I don't know a lot of things about this world, but I do read a lot of history. And it's a very strange moment. It's one of those transitional moments where the paradigms are shifting. We used to believe in doesn't seem to work anymore, right? And it makes people go crazy. I feel like sometimes I was on a bike ride the other day and I was thinking, sometimes I feel like I'm living in an insane asylum. Like people are literally going mad, and I include myself in that. I don't separate myself in that. And so when people feel like they have no control, mostly over their pocketbook, which is happening a lot now, but also a sense of the future, my values, what matters, they go a little bit crazy. And it creates incredible space for demagogues to use that kind of confusion, to use that sense of powerlessness to whip people up into a frenzy, to get control of them. And it's a very dangerous time, because you're seeing a steering towards authoritarianism all around the globe. And what's going on here? Why is this happening now? It happened in the 1920s and the 30s. It seems to be happening now. And I think there's this overall sense that people feel like we're losing control over their own lives, over the lives, the future of their country, their children. It's a very strange, dark moment, I think. We humans have a spiritual side to us. We have a hunger for something larger than just our egos, than just making money, than just surviving. We need to feel connected to something larger. It's part of our nature. And in my book, I explain where that comes from. And that never goes away. I don't care how sophisticated we are. I don't care if it's 3,000 years in advance and we're all like Borgs, we're part cyborgs, etc. It's still a part of human nature. It isn't going away. And so organized religion was the sort of the main source of that for centuries, right? And it kind of became dead in a way. It wasn't really connected to people's authentic experience anymore, particularly as we became technologically so sophisticated. It seemed like something kind of superstitious, something from the past. And also it wasn't appealing to our lived experience. I remember as a child going to the synagogue, right? And it's just like, what does this have to do with my life here in Los Angeles? It's the 60s. And people are going nuts in the streets in the Vietnam War and, you know, sex and everything. And here there's like these prayers, and like it had no connection to my life as a child and to my world. So I couldn't understand organized religion, okay? But people still have this need, they still have this hunger, they still are looking for some kind of meaning. They want to connect to something bigger than just their egos, right? And there's nothing out there that's supplying that, I think. And you find, because of that, a lot of people are going into these sort of niche spiritual worlds that at least feel a little more direct and part of their everyday life, but aren't connected to anything larger, any kind of movement. And so it shifts. Now I'm interested in this little form of Buddhism. Then in 6 months, it'll be, you know, I'll be getting drug therapy. And then 6 months, it'll be something else, right? So there's nothing kind of solid, and it's an emptiness that people feel. And so the book that I wrote was trying to deal with that kind of emptiness and how you as an individual or we as a collective can find our way back to finding this kind of higher meaning in our life. I'm reading quotes from Albert Einstein, you know, probably the most brilliant scientist of our era. He believed in what he called cosmic religion. And he said, mysticism is as much a part of the arts as it is of the sciences. And if you can't feel awe in front of this universe that we have, then you might as well be dead, right? So you can mix science, technology, and sophisticated thinking and 21st century thinking with something spiritual. You can. It can be done. But the idea that everything has to be rational, everything has to be data, algorithms, you know, programmed, etc., is just creating deadness in people. It's making them insane because that's not how the human animal is. We need something else. So yes, it is very arrogant to believe that you can just get rid of religion. Sorry to say, but Nazism was a religion. Chinese communism and what Mao had was a religion. Stalin is a religion. Without religion, but it was still based on that kind of form. That's what happens when you get rid completely of things that meant so much to people. I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, as you mentioned. I have only 3 months to live. I've never felt more alive than in these 3 months. I don't have to think about social media. I don't have to think about my admission. I don't have to think about all these other little problems. Suddenly the world opens up to me and I'm thinking about what really matters, about what really life is about, right? Because no amount of technology is going to keep me alive. And even if it does, I'm still going to have, the cancer will come back. And so you're forced to think about what really matters to you. And that's what death can do for you, you know? We're taking away things that really matter to human beings. And we're paying a price for it. And so we have to find a way back to some of these things that our ancestors understood about the human animal and how we need an anchor in our lives.
But nothing happened, and I was lonely and I was depressed, and I felt like something was wrong. It wasn't happening. My mind wasn't, I don't think I would have been a good novelist because I'm too much into ideas, and my novels were just like these kind of big kind of sticks with a big idea on it that you were supposed to read about. It didn't have life to it. I think I could do it now, but something was wrong about it, and I couldn't earn a living off of it. You know, I was on my own. I had to earn a living. I didn't want to be doing all these crap jobs my whole life. So I came back to LA, where I'm from. My father wasn't well, and I got a job in Hollywood, thinking this is the golden path. Money, writing, glamour, whatever, the dream. And none of it happened. Nothing was going right. Nothing was quite fitting, right? And I had a moment, I was getting kind of desperate. And my girlfriend was saying, maybe you got to stop trying to have it both ways, where you have your writing, your creativity, and then you have earning a living. Maybe you can't have both. So she said, I always wanted to write plays and theater and stuff. So she said, go ahead and do that. And that was a kind of a turning point where I'm going to stop trying to just be this person that other people wanted me to be. And I'm going to follow what excites me, even though I can't make a living in it. And that was a very important part. It meant I can do something that's kind of fun, and maybe it will turn into something. So sometimes fate has its weird ways of operating.
Mm-hmm.
Just as after I had done that, writing the plays, we put them on here in Los Angeles. We performed them. I acted in them. She directed them. We did all the work ourselves. Very strange plays. Right after that, I met this man in Italy who offered me the chance to write a book. And something clicked in me going, Robert, all the bad choices in your life, all the mistakes, everything can turn on this moment, right? You can go from being this kind of loser in your one-bedroom apartment in Santa Monica. You could somehow turn this around. A book? Wow, I never thought of that before. Not a novel, but a nonfiction book. But I'm kind of a strange individual, I have to say, for better or worse, because until I was 38, it was for the worst, right? And my parents were getting really worried about me. But when I had the chance to write The 48 Laws of Power, my first book, I made it a book that that's not like anything else out there, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it's something you've done in your comedy. There's nobody else out there like Theo Von. You're unique. I made the book look weird, feel weird. Nothing about it was like anything else. It was dark. It was kind of like language was a little bit strong. It was controversial. As I said, I was 38 years old. I hadn't really amounted to anything. And this guy, Joost Elfers, who's the producer of the book, he offered me this chance. I pitched to him what turned out to be the 48 Laws of Power. He got so excited. So what happened was I went home to LA and I go, Robert, it's either get rich or die trying here, right? You either make this book work or you're just going to be floundering the rest of your life, right? So I was so motivated. I was so hungry and desperate, and that this had to be it, that I put everything I had into it. And it's hard for me to understand now because it took 2 years to write. Now it takes me 5 years to write a damn book. All that research, all that creating something that hadn't been out there before, I don't know how I did it, but all I can say is there was something else inside of me that was so hungry that it made it happen. So there wasn't any I can't do this kind of thing. It was like, if I don't do it, that's it. I have in one book, in my book on strategy and warfare, this thing that I call death ground strategy. It's a great expression. It comes from Sun Tzu, and it's, if your back is to the ocean or your back is against a mountain and you're fighting the enemy, you're going to fight with 10 times the energy, because it's either conquer them or you're going to die, right? So you put yourself on death ground. You either succeed or terrible things will happen. You find energy that you hadn't believed you had. You'll find creativity that you hadn't believed you had. But one thing my girlfriend did was, I had this cat who just would never leave me alone. He was so attached to me, and quite honestly, he probably made it so I couldn't write a book. So she created this table, this very thin table that would fit right in here on the chair. I could put my laptop on, he couldn't get on it. And that allowed me to write the book. A lot of things fail in life, right? And the book could have flopped easily because it was so different and weird. And so I had no idea. But then suddenly it starts selling well, and I'm getting, the press was pretty good. And I remember in early 1999, I was invited to Italy for a book tour. And this was like the strangest moment of my life, probably. I don't know if you know, at Disneyland, they have Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. If you have success when you're 23, it kind of spoils you, and you think that this is what life should be like. I had so much loneliness. I had so much not being able to pay bills. I had so much frustration and depression that when it happened, it was like, man, this is like, I'm like on a drug. It's fantastic.